Hey everyone, it's Ellie Mae with Silhouette Secrets Plus, and I have a tool that I want to show you. For years, I've been a paper crafter. I started with cutting machines as a paper crafter. And what that means is when you cut through your paper, you are cutting all the way through. And if you have a good sticky cutting mat, that means that all those pieces will stay stuck to your mat when you take it off. And so I can pull the design off. So I have this really intricate cut. Here is the screenshot from Silhouette Studio on the cut that I did. I'll put the link in the description for the design I used. It is a doily design, and I just picked a design that was an intricate cut that would leave me a lot of pieces on my mat so I could demonstrate this. And then I cut it out of a piece of random cardstock. Now, just don't mind this little section down here. My cut settings were a little bit off, so that's why you'll see the tears. But I went ahead and just cut it at the top. So I just chose a piece that I had plenty of cardstock on that I don't use very often. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this off my mat. And then how I normally do it is I'm going to flip my mat over, and I usually put my blue protective cover, which I left in the other room, down on my table so that debris and anything isn't going to stick to my mat. But I flip my mat over after the cut. And then I peel my mat away from my cardstock carefully and slowly. And with a silhouette cutting mat, you can peel and I went a little bit too fast because I'm on video. Go slow so that any pieces of your cardstock that are sticking from your design you can catch so it doesn't tear. But I just carefully peel the cutting mat. And with a silhouette cutting mat, it is flexible enough that you can roll it back on itself. Other cutting mats are not as flexible, and I have actually snapped a student's cutting mat in half doing this in a class. We had a really good laugh about it. But I was prepared to buy her a brand new silhouette cutting mat to replace that one. So I'm just carefully doing this. You want to go slow just because this is an intricate cut. As you can see, it did cut very well. I'm going to show you how you can work with those pieces in just a second. A lot of times with paper crafters, the hard part is not getting the cut. Let's get this off. As I said, this bottom corner is kind of a mess. So I'm just going to take that off. I don't need it. So I have my intricate cut up here. Ignore this part. My intricate cut. It cut very well. All of those pieces, almost all of them, came off. But I am left with this on my cutting mat to clean up. So I have a trick for you. I did receive a new toolkit from CrafterCuts. In the past, I would use a silhouette spatula, or old school, I started with Cricut, so I would use a Cricut spatula because it was a little bit wider than the silhouette spatula to help remove these pieces. Now, when you do this technique, you do not want to gouge into your mat. You want to gently scrape it off your mat. If you do it right, it will leave the adhesive on your cutting mat and it will help you get those pieces off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this new tool. And I was so thrilled when I opened the toolkit and this was in it because I had just seen a video where someone from Australia had used something very similar. And I'd never seen one available in the US just like this tool. So this is a little spatula that comes in this 7-piece toolkit from CrafterCuts. And there's links in the description below. But this is what I'm so excited about this. And if you're not a paper crafter, you probably won't get the excitement. But if you are a paper crafter, you've ever ended up with this on your cutting mat, this might help you. So you're going to carefully, I do this over my trash can, but that's a little bit more difficult on the video, but I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to set it in front. It's not going to catch all of this, but for the video's sake, I'll make a mess in my craft room. So you're going to take this, and it is a hard tipped rubber, but you don't want to dig. So all you're going to do is simply scrape. And you're not scraping hard. You're just scraping it, and those paper pieces pop right off. So I am going to zoom in on this shot, and I'm going to show you how this is working. Now your big pieces, I'm going to shake this off. A lot of times your big pieces, you can just roll your mat back and those will pop right off. So big, large pieces, that's great. These smaller pieces, they don't often work as easily. So I'm just going to scrape up that mess, and I'm going to just make those pieces fly. Again, I'm not scraping into the adhesive on my cutting mat. What would have taken me piece by piece it's gone. And my sticky on my cutting mat is still there. So just scrape those all the way off onto your work surface. I'll do it again. So it can save you and help you out on your paper projects. Look at it go. Do it from this side. Again, you're not doing it, you're not digging. But if you are into intricate cutting, this can help. I know, it's the little things that get me excited. Cleaning my mat off faster and keeping the sticky. Something to keep in mind is that any debris left on your cutting mat can interfere with your cuts. So getting a clean cutting mat is a great idea. Will help you save the adhesive on your cutting mats. Now, I said in the beginning that, let me clean some of this off. This corner was a mess because my cut settings weren't right. As you could see in the previous shots, there was some lifting, there were some different things. So all of this is still stuck to my mat. So I'm just going to take my scraper, scrape that off. And look at that. All of those pieces gone. Before, I would have had to use my fingernails, take more time. Let's see how fast I can get this whole thing cleaned off. Bigger pieces you don't necessarily need it for. Almost done. And if it helps, you can just scrape it off onto your table and then scrape it into your trash can. But I clean my mat every time. There we go. All those little pieces, there's a couple of fuzzies. All those little pieces are gone. As with anything, it leaves fibers. All kinds of different materials leave different fibers on your cutting mat, even the ones you can't see. Fibers on your cutting mat or debris on your cutting mat is going to affect your cutting mat life and how well future materials stick to it. I always put that blue protective cover back on my cutting mat when I'm finished. Now, the tool spatula comes in this 7-piece kit from CrafterCuts, and there's a link in the description below. I am having a great time with this kit. My favorite tools so far are it's got a pin tip on it for weeding, and the spatula. Now, I also use these types of spatulas. They have more of a rounded edge, so it doesn't quite work the same on your cutting mat, but I've also used these tweezers as well. All of these tools have a purpose or will serve a purpose in your craft room. I hope those tips have helped and you get your paper crafting projects done faster by getting all of that debris off of your cutting mat. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.